Hello and welcome to another episode of the Imperfect Cheerleader podcast. My name is Jasmine Neely and I am your host today, and I'm your guide. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, welcome. I am glad to have you here. I am a former NFL cheerleader. I cheered for the Carolina Panthers for 5 seasons, and now I'm a current NBA dancer with the Hornets as a honeybee. And so this podcast is really to help those who want to dance in professional sports like the NBA or NFL or even MLB or a semi-pro team. So listen to this podcast if you would like to hear from people who have done that. I interview a lot of great people and former teammates of mine, people in the industry that you may have heard of. I've interviewed one of Beyonce's dancers. I've interviewed performance coaches, psychology coaches, because a lot of people don't talk about the mental that goes into dance and pro cheer and just being an adult and being in these spaces and body image and mental blocks and all of the stuff that comes with it. And I want to bring more awareness to the dance community in this way, the pro cheer community, based off of my experiences, based off of what I know. And I want to give you the tips that you need to succeed in being a better dancer and being a better performer and succeeding in your audition and being on the team that you want to be on. Okay, I want to help you get there. I want to move you closer to that goal. Okay, so if you've been listening for a while, then you know that I'm doing this series, the Dallas Cowboys Cheerleaders Netflix show. And so today we're on we're doing season 2, episode 6. So there's 7 episodes. We're almost done with this series. And I'm excited about this episode because I think there was a lot of good things in this episode that are starting to unfold and come out. So let's get into it. And also, before I get into it, I want to say that if you have a question and you want me to answer it live on the show, then I will do that. I answered 2 questions last time that people sent me in through my TikTok, which is at thepro.cheerleader on TikTok. And then on Instagram, I am at the professional cheerleader. Or you can send me a GM. You can send me a Gmail or a email. Gosh, it's been a long day. So yes, my email is the professional cheerleader at gmail.com. So you can send me a question there. I will answer on live on the show. Yeah. Okay, let's get into it. Episode 6 of Making the Team, the Dallas Cowboys Cheerleaders on Netflix. It starts out with Judy talking about her tenure. I don't know if it really starts out like that, but we kind of get in the beginning of the episode. It talks about Judy being the one and only choreographer that they've had for 40 years. And of course, they've brought in choreographers. They've brought in people who can teach and have a more modern approach to choreography. But Judy has been the only one. She's been the one and only. And she talks about how she wants to be vocal to the girls, but she wants to be known as being a hard worker. But she wants to be remembered as being warm. And I found that interesting because I don't know if there was a shift in the first season to this season, but it seems like Judy and Kelly are trying to be a little bit more warm to the girls. They're trying to be not as harsh. Maybe they got some criticism in the first season, but she kind of got choked up there when she was like, yeah, I want to be remembered as warm. And I don't know where that's coming from. Is it coming from an experience that she's had in the past where she wasn't treated fairly or she wasn't treated with respect, or maybe it's something that she may have put out there in her experience being on the other side as a coach or a choreographer, and she's like, at the end of the day, these are women and they deserve to be treated as such, not like talked down upon because of their leg was in the wrong place. Yeah. So I don't know if that's something that she has thought about, and I wonder where that's coming from, that she wants to be remembered as warm, because I'm sure she's seen a lot and done a lot in 40 years being the one and only choreographer on the team. So it starts out like that, and then we kind of get into this little controversial drama when Amanda, who actually has been on my podcast before, go check out the episode that she's on my podcast. I gotta go write that down. I'll put it in the show notes, okay? I'll put that episode in the show notes that Amanda is on. She came on my podcast, actually, just going a little tangent. She came on my podcast when she was auditioning for DCC the first time, and she made the training camp, but she didn't make the team. And then the next year, I think she made the team. And so she made the team that year, but she came on my podcast before she even made DCC. So it's interesting to see her journey through auditioning, getting cut. She used to be a Golden State Warriors dancer, I believe. And she just retired this year, I think, from DCC. So anyway, I say all that to say, go listen to that episode. It's really good, and I think you'll get a lot from it from Amanda, because she's great. So she comes in and has a meeting with Kelly and Judy, and she's talking about how she's feeling. She just wanted to come in and say, like, what's in her head, and she wanted to come talk to her coaches. And her whole thing is like, you know, I'm not getting booked in these appearances that I feel like I should be booked in as a third-year vet. And she feels like she's being overlooked. She feels like she's not seen on the team. She feels like, you know, she's kind of going through all these emotions and saying, like, hey, I'm coming here to voice my concern. Like, is there anything that I need to be doing or that I should be aware of that you all are seeing that I'm not seeing that I need to know about? And I 100% respect her for doing that, because I've had to do that before. And it takes a lot of courage to do, because you do not want to have your hand slapped. You don't want to feel like it's a selfish ask to be seen more. You don't want it to feel like, oh, I'm just thinking about myself here and I'm not getting the appearances I want and this is all about me. You don't want to feel like that. You don't want to come across like that. But at the same time, you want to be able to voice your concerns about how you're doing and performing on the team. If you're not being booked for these major events as a third-year vet, and others have, or people that have come in later than you are being booked for those, then you're going to naturally start to think that it's something. So I highly respect her for doing that, and I'm glad that they showed this conversation happen. And even the more that you get from your teammates, like noticing the push that you get from the girls on the team, and they're starting to ask you, are you okay? Like, you didn't get booked for this. Like, they're noticing it, and you understand that you're not the only one noticing it. That's when you're going to start to feel like, oh, I should do something. I should say something. Because a lot of times you can feel things. You can be like, oh, I'm just in my head. I'm just thinking about this because it's my own feelings. But the moment that somebody else notices it, or you talk to somebody else about it and they kind of validate what you're thinking and feeling, then you feel like, okay, maybe this is a problem. I should probably bring this up. I've definitely been there. And I've had teammates come to me like, oh, are you okay? Like, they're just checking in. And at first I was like, I guess this just happens, But when multiple people started coming up to me, they're like, oh, are you okay? I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm okay. Am I fully okay? No. You try to talk things out. You try to talk yourself out of doing it. Then at one point I was just like, okay, I need to talk to my coach about this because it's heavy on my heart. Okay. Now, Amanda had to do it in front of two judges, or two coaches, which can be a lot and it can be intimidating. But I kind of didn't like the approach that they took, though. Amanda's telling her all this stuff, telling Kelly and Judy all of these things about her, wanting to be booked more. And Kelly's like, okay, well, you should focus on what you're being booked for. And then she turned the tables and completely said that she's hearing from others that the team deserves her. And she kind of just brushed by that, saying, and Amanda's like, okay, what? Where'd this come from? This is coming off left field. I never heard that before. I've never said that. And Kelly's just like, yeah, it doesn't matter where you're hearing it from. Yeah, it does. I kind of wish that she would push back more on that. Like, you don't just say something like that and accuse me of saying something like that without you telling me where it's coming from. No, you if you brought it up, you should tell me who is saying this. And I thought it was kind of just like, okay, why are you being defensive over this? And I get she's your coach and you want to respect her, but I think that she should have asked a little bit more questions. Like, if people are talking about me like this, yeah, we know that Kelly and Judy talk about the girls. We know that people talk about people behind their backs all the time. People probably talk about me behind my back all the time, okay? People are going to do it. You can't stop. You can't control what people say. So they're going to do it. They're going to talk about me. But if she brought that out, if Kelly says that, the best thing that Kelly could be able to do if Amanda has questions about that is tell her. And maybe she told her in private. But I just thought that was just uncalled for. It's like, I'm coming to you as a woman. I want to have a conversation and you're bringing up this other thing. Like, what does that have to do with anything? I think, the way to approach that is to ask more questions. It's always to ask more questions. I think in leadership, in general, you have to ask people questions, like you are grilling them, kind of. I'm not an expert. I'm not saying I'm an expert at anything or I'm an expert at leadership or coaching. I've never coached a team. But I think just coming from that angle of being curious about what she's saying and not coming at it as a defense mechanism, or she's like trying to defend herself, Kelly, I'm talking about, I think that was just uncalled for. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. So yeah, I didn't know how that ended, but I think we know that Amanda ends up, I already told you that she ends up retiring, and I hate it for her because, I really would. I wanted her to see her wishes come true of being booked for these appearances. And then they get into the pay conversation. She's like, well, is it something about pay? Like, does that have something to do with it? And she says, and this is very brave of her, she says, like, I do think that we should be paid more because we're doing all these things. And if we could focus 100% on this. And then Judy comes back and she's like, well, why would we want you to quit your jobs? I just think Judy, like I said before, she has that traditional mindset, an old school mentality. And she's like, why would we want you to quit your jobs? No, we're not asking anybody to quit their jobs. We're just asking that they pay us more. And I'm speaking like I'm a DCC or a cheerleader. They're asking that they just pay them more for what they're worth. They're doing all these things and they're being paid like they are not doing the amount of things that require payment at a higher level for, if that makes sense. And Judy's whole thing is that's what makes you so well-rounded. That's what people love about you, because you can go to work and you can come here. Yeah, a lot of people do that and they put 100% into both. And you should put 100%. I'm just saying the work has to match the pay, regardless of it, whatever work you do. The work has to match the pay. And in this instance, for all that they were doing, the work was not matching the pay. And I wish that somebody would have said that on the team, because it's not about, oh yeah, we're doing full-time jobs and we're making it work part-time as a DCC, and we're putting almost 30 hours sometimes a week to do this, and we're getting minimum wage for it. And oh, by the way, we're a globally recognized brand, and our faces are all over the internet and social media, and our name, image, and likeness are being used to promote this show. Like, what? Damn, yeah, right, you better pay me more? Come on now. I don't understand how people can't see that, especially front office people. Come on now. There's a lot of smart people in this world. There's a lot of smart people that are in these front offices, in these situations, on teams. It didn't have to take them coming up to say we deserve to be paid more for that to happen. It did, but like, it's ridiculous that it had to be that way. First of all, the Cowboys, billion-dollar organization. You're being plastered all over Netflix, on TikTok. Billions of dollars. There's dollars everywhere, and it's going to everybody but the talent. And you see this a lot, and if you know about TLC, the girl group, with their management and a lot of things that went on with them, they were the most successful girl group at the time. And I think one of the highest selling girl groups of all time. And they were broke at their peak. They were broke. And you're seeing the same thing. And it's such an issue in the entertainment industry. And I could go on a tangent about this, but I'm going to keep going with the show. It's such a problem. And I think, yes, they got their 400% raise. And it shouldn't have had to take that long. You shouldn't sit down and be humble. No. Women, you got to stand up and ask for what you deserve. That's why I respect Jada, I respect Amanda, Klein, whoever else was in, Armani. I respect all of them. Megan, who went and fought for this. They went to the source, they went to leadership, they went to legal, they went to HR, and they're like, hey, we deserve more. I respect the ish out of that. Because as women, as little girls, sometimes we are told to sit down, be quiet, and receive what's given to us. We're told to be humble. We're told not to be boisterous. We're told not to be too loud. We're told to be quiet. We're told to shh. Quite literally. We're told, oh, you're too young for that. You don't understand. I was told that growing up. Oh, I'll tell you when you get older. People don't think that we're smart. Or that we will fight for what we want. So it's time to prove people wrong. And this is a whole tangent, but I just don't like the opposition of that. And I will debate with somebody all day about that. If you want to come debate with me, come on. I almost went to law school. I almost wanted to do that. Okay. I'm right here waiting on you. We can debate. We can have a live debate. We can have somebody right here debating with me on that. Okay? I'm very passionate about it, as you can see. And if you saw my episode with Kevin, who is one of my mentors, he's very passionate about it as well. And he has nothing to do with the dance space, but he just sees that I'm in it and I'm a part of it. And me and him are like, we want dancers to be paid for their name, image, and likeness. We want that to happen. Okay, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. That's all for that. Okay, let's keep moving through the episode. So we talk about, they get into all the pay and stuff, and then they have a meeting, and they come back and they have a Zoom call with the rest of this meeting that they have is with leadership, with HR and legal, and they come back and they have a Zoom call with the team. It's just the team members. It's just the women on the team. Nobody else, not the coaches or anything else. And apparently somebody from the group said something from the team. Somebody from the team was like, I gotta say something. And apparently there was a walkout that was discussed. Also, I wonder who that was. I have some speculations, but I also wonder who from the team recorded the conversation that they had and it got to the staff. Some people are speculating that was the girl who works for the Dallas Cowboys. Some people are speculating that was the one that turned in her contract, the only person that turned in her contract. Who knows, Does it really matter? I don't know. It's just kind of like scandalous. But when you do go after or fight for something, not everybody's going to be on board, and that's okay. You can't force anybody to do anything that they don't want to do, right? You can't give people help if they don't want it themselves. So, Anna Kate, who is, I think, Caroline's sister, she's, I think, a second year at this point. They pulled to a clip of her, and then I think the other girl's name is McKenna, but she's talking about, I didn't do this thinking that I was going to make an insane amount of money, and that just goes back to my point. That's not the point. Yes, nobody does this thinking they're going to make a whole amount of money. Nobody goes into it thinking, oh, I'm going to go dance because I think it's going to make me millions of dollars. Nobody thinks that. Ever. If you do, then you need to do more research, okay? The point is, you're doing all these things. Why aren't you? Like, why aren't you asking more questions about why aren't you making more money? Yeah. And then McKenna's talking about how she turned in her contract while everyone else didn't. And I guess I wonder if she was the only one that turned in her contract. I get it, you know. I can sometimes be a rule follower. I would want to turn in my contract. I wouldn't want to get in trouble. Like, oh, you didn't turn in your contract? Okay, you're off the team. Right? So, I totally get that. All right, so. And then we kind of get into, like, the games and how there's so many appearances, so many things going on at once. You have a whirlwind happening, and I know as soon as the season starts, it's like bam, 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 and then before you know it, it's Christmas, holiday season time, and you're like, whoa, where did the time go? The fall season just like flew past us. So you have back-to-back games. You feel like your head is going to spin off because you're just trying to keep up with the schedules and the practices and the appearances. And yes, it's such a whirlwind, but it's a moment in time, and I think they all realize that. And it's moments that you don't get back. So the lack of sleep that you get is worth it. As a 20-something going through this, I don't know how I managed it, honestly, but I totally get that part when they're kind of like going from place to place to place and trying to juggle their life, whether you're in school or whether you're working. It's like all of it, you get lack of sleep. You want to hang out with your friends. You want to hang out with your teammates. You want to do all the things because this is a moment in time in your life. And I say do it all. Don't worry about the lack of sleep. You can sleep later. You can sleep, later. But in your 20s, that's the time to do it. And I'm not to say that you can't dance in your 20s. Hey, I'm in my 30s and I'm still dancing. So I'm interested to see how this is going to work out in the NBA. Honestly, I'm like, there's way more games too for inside, and the games are a little shorter. So yeah, I think about that too sometimes. There was one season, my rookie year, where we had 3 back-to-back home games in December. It was insane. It literally felt like that scene in this episode where it's just go, 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 go. Because that 3-week period, it was during Christmas time. It was during holiday season time. We were learning. We were dancing everywhere. We had appearances. It was a lot in 3 games. And at that point, my rookie season, we danced 4 dances each game. What? I loved dancing that much. But 4 dances a game? That's crazy. How did I do that? Sometimes you think about things that you did in your past and you're like, what was I thinking? How did I do that? You just did it. And that's the thing. Like, you can do anything if you just do it. Right? It sounds easy. It's not always that easy. But it just takes movement. Once a movement, what did I say all the time? An object in motion stays in motion. And when you are moving, you continue to move. And you continue with that momentum. And you build up momentum to keep going. And then there's the whole aspect of like your work, and then you transform into somebody else different on the weekends or whenever you go to games. It's like Maddie says that she feels like Hannah Montana sometimes, and it's totally like that. At work today, I was filming myself working, and it's like, wow, I'm going to be working during the day and then doing games at night. It's like I turn into a completely different person. One day I'm running meetings, and then the next day you see me at a Panthers game taking pictures with fans or dancing on the court and being an ambassador for a team. It's kind of crazy to think about like that. You're 2 different people in one day and in the same body. Also, they kind of get into being married as a DCC and DCC husbands and how it's a lot of take and not a lot of give. First of all, I cannot imagine being married as a top cat. It was just too much going on. I will say my teammates that did have husbands and boyfriends, they were some of the best husbands and boyfriends that I've seen ever, besides my own dad and brother. But I was just like, y'all. I remember one husband in particular would pick one of my teammates up from practice, every single practice, whether it was late. He was always there on time. He would even sometimes bring her stuff. Like, They didn't have children either, so maybe that's why he could do that. But I was just like, props. I love that for y'all. I did have a boyfriend as a top cat, but that's different. Like, I don't know. I feel like husband and being a wife is a different type of commitment. And if you're married and it isn't, then let me know. Give me some tips, okay? And then, okay, this is the thing that threw me for a loop. The seats that they got for their family and friends are so close, I'm jealous. The seats that we got when I was a top cat were so far up, there were nosebleeds. But I saw that they get close-up seats. Was that just for the show, or is that regular life every season? I wonder. There are some good seats. You can get pictures of your loved one. That's a DCC. You can get good videos. You know, it's great. Ugh, yeah, they were just so good seats. Now, I think in this episode, we talk a little bit about Chandi too and how she's lost her confidence. But then the girls on the team, they get this like surprise trip that they're doing a refresh and reboot retreat, which I think is so cute. And I think that going to the Bahamas, like as a team, is such a cute idea during the middle of the season, right? Like if you have a break, then, and it's all paid for, like that's such a great perk. And then you have the girls talking about capitalizing on social media and being influencers, and freaking Kelly Finglass was in it too. She's like doing her brand products and, you know, her skincare routines using the brands and stuff. I'm like, you better go ahead, girl. You better get on with your bad stuff. You better get this coin too. I understand. So I did notice, and we'll find out later if you haven't watched. Well, this whole thing is a spoiler, so anyway. I did notice that Reese and Charlie were in the same room as Chandi. I wonder if, I don't know who else was in that room, but I think, I'm speculating, I think Reese and Charlie were in the same room as Chandi. So we're going to put a pin in that, and we're going to come back to it. We get into this kind of deep conversation that Klein's having with Jada, and I think Kylie and Sophie and Brooklyn maybe on a boat. And Klein saying, yeah, your rookie year is really supposed to be about the hardships and character development, and are you really going to let the anxiety of this environment sway your experience? Are you going to take it in and make the best memories with it? Basically, you make it what you make it. You can either be super stressed out all the time, or you can learn from others, learn from your mistakes, or just learn and observe in general and make the most out of it and not take yourself too seriously. That's the thing. I think Kylie said that this is the most stressed that she's seen rookies be, and I totally get it. We're all stressed. But I think it's also what you make out of it, you know. It's a job, but you can technically have fun at work, right? Especially a job like this. They also talk about like being married. And is that a requirement to retire, you know? Like that's kind of how I felt my last couple, maybe like my last 3 seasons, maybe 2 seasons. It was like, okay, I'm getting married, so I'm going to retire. Or I'm having a baby, so I'm going to retire. For me, that was not the case. I was not getting married, nowhere near getting married at that point. I was not having a baby. Nope. So I was like an outlier. I was an anomaly. I did not retire because of those reasons. I retired for a different reason. And I think it's funny. Of course, those are obvious reasons to retire for. If you're getting married or having a baby, then some people don't, but a lot of people do. And it seems like, okay, well, yeah, I'm done with that life. I'm going to go live this life. And that's not a requirement for sure. It seems like it, but it's kind of funny how that just works out. I mean, it is different parts of your life, right? Being a pro dancer is a season of time. Being engaged is a season in time, right? And like your honeymoon phase and, you know, all that stuff. It's different. And I think that's what makes it fun. 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 And I think that's what newlyweds. That's the season and time. Okay, now we're going to go back to that pin we put in when I noticed that Reese and Charlie were in the same room as Chandi. So there was a whole situation with Chandi. If you watch the show, you know that she brought somebody into her room, and it was unsafe because none of the girls on the team knew who he was. And she basically had an intimate connection with him. Who knows what happened? If something happened, whatever. I guess it's none of our business. The thing is, she brought somebody in the room when she shouldn't have. And you just never know what someone is going through. And I'm just going to pause because, yes, she shouldn't have done that at all. It's unsafe, especially when you have roommates, especially when you are on a trip and you don't know him. It's totally out of line, and she should not have done that. However, I empathize so much with Chandi because I just understand where she's coming from and maybe why she did that. The decision that she made. The stupid decision that she made, because I've made the stupid decisions in my life. And when you are at a low point, I'm going to speak straight to the mic. When you are at a low point, sometimes the only thing that you need is true companionship, true empathy, and somebody that can understand where you're coming from, and you just need to be around somebody that can understand. And sometimes it's a stranger. Sometimes it's somebody that you have no connection or tie with. Sometimes you just don't know who to turn to, so it's just easier to talk to somebody who may understand where you're coming from, and she found that connection. And once you connect with somebody in that way, it's so hard to break away, because sometimes that's the only thing that you have. So I get it, and yeah, I totally am not condoning it. I think it was wrong what she did, but when you are in such a tough mental space like that, that's sometimes the only place that you can go. And I think people that haven't been in a situation like that don't understand, and they're just like, yeah, it's unsafe, she shouldn't have done that, but they don't understand what comes with being in a tough mental headspace, and how whatever somebody can grab to just get through the day or the night, that's what they're going to do. And yeah, that's it on that. And then the episode ends with Chandi talking to her friend who is, I think her name is Jacqueline, maybe. She was a former DCC, and they're on the couch talking, and Jacqueline's like, yeah, people are going to find out exactly what happened. And they are. People have already been speculating on TikTok and, wherever on the internet. But people are going to find out, and I hope that Chandi is prepared for that. She's already been through it. She's probably seen everything on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok, on blogs, or whatever. But I just hope that she's mentally prepared for if something did come out. I also thought it was kind of hush-hush about, like, when they got back and the whole team found out. So it's embarrassing for real, but, it is what it is. And at the end of the day, there's more to life than DCC. There's more to life than cheering and dancing. Life goes on. That's it for today. I will let you all go. And last episode recap is next. And we're going to get back into some really cool interviews after that. So stay tuned. Everybody do a woosah. In with your nose, out with your mouth. I hope you have a great rest of your day or night, and I will talk to you on another episode of the Imperfect Cheerleader podcast. Bye for now. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Imperfect Cheerleader podcast. Taking the time to listen while you're busy with all of life's responsibilities means the world to me. If you enjoyed this episode, here are a few ways you can support ICP. Number 1, hit the subscribe button so you always get newly released episodes and never miss them. Number 2, take a screenshot of the episode you listened to and tag at the professional cheerleader on Instagram. We love to repost your tags and shout you out in our stories. Number 3, write a review. This is the best way to show your support for the podcast and helps us bring on even better guests, interviews, and topics. I hope you have a wonderful day, morning, or night, wherever you may be, and are continuing to work towards your goals of becoming a professional cheerleader, dancer, or just someone who loves to move. I'll see you later on another episode of the Imperfect Cheerleader podcast. Toodles for now.